What up, what up? I'm back at it again with another video. So before I get into the video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I'm trying to get this video to 60 likes. So today's video is all about therapy and when people get mad at you for going to therapy. It kind of sounds like wild. Why would people be mad at you for going to therapy when you're going to therapy for yourself? But what starts to happen oftentimes when you go to therapy is you start to really look at the dynamics of the relationships in your life and really take an honest look at yourself, also at the people that you're in relationship with. So I'm talking about friends, families, bosses, and a lot of us who do go to therapy are people who are kind of used to being either like people pleasers or used to being doormats, or at least that was my experience. So I can't speak for anybody else, but that was my experience. And when I finally started to not only address what I was bringing to the table, but the fact that a lot of my relationships were one-sided, and so I was giving and giving and giving, and I was never saying no. I didn't really have strong boundaries, and I would always be that friend who was kind of down for whatever. Like, you could call me on a Tuesday and be like, yo, you want to go out? And I'll be like, yeah. But also, I didn't tell people when what they said was offensive, or, oh, actually, can we not go here? Can we not hang out with this person? Can we not do this? Can you not say this? Or when you said this, it actually was really offensive or really hurt my feelings. And so I was kind of like this person who was like, oh yeah, I could be cool with anybody, and I could have drinks with anybody, I could go out with anybody, I could be friends with anybody. Nothing hurts me. Like, everything rolls off my back. Like, you could say whatever you want, but like, whatever, it doesn't bother me.
It's so hard being in a relationship when no one is good enough for you.
But when I started going, I started taking an honest look at the impact that people's words around me had on me. And after some months, it's like, yeah, I want to stand up for myself, and I want to just, like, you know, shift. I want to tell people, like, stop talking to me like that. Don't call me that. Don't say that to me. That's not cool. And when you've had these relationships with these set of dynamics where one person is the giver and where one person, you can kind of say anything to this person and they just cool, they just laugh it off. It's like, whatever. And then they start to actually find offense in what you say. It's like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. They start to stick up for themselves and other people. I signed up for the cool guy. Bring the cool guy back. I don't know who this other new guy is who doesn't want to go out to drink every single day. I don't know who this other guy is who doesn't laugh at all my jokes, who doesn't just let me take advantage of them all the time. Bring the other guy back. And this was like a big problem for me because I had surrounded myself with a bunch of people who were really like drinking buddies, who were really like party friends, but I thought they were my friends. So when I started doing the work in therapy, almost overnight, I suddenly was like completely alone. Like, I didn't have any friends anymore because they were my drinking buddies. They were not my friends. Friends will support you. Friends will respect you. And there is that two-way street from friendships. Friendships are demanding too in certain regards. Like, you can't just say anything to your friends. You can't just send them memes that might be offensive to them. Like, you kind of have to be a little thoughtful and a little sensitive. And people are so anti-feeling. People are so anti-sensitive. People think that it is cool to be without feelings. It is cool to be devoid of emotional intelligence. When you start going to therapy and putting in the work for not only yourself, but also what your relationships must be, people are gonna get uncomfortable. You're gonna shake stuff up. You're gonna shake the table. Shallow relationships no longer satisfy you, and you're acutely aware of that. I knew I was aware of that. I did feel alone in my relationships prior to going to therapy, but I just was like, oh, well, like, I'm depressed, but look at me. I have all of these friends. I have all these people around me. I'm always active. I'm always going out. I'm not alone. I'm making it up in my head. But there's like an intimacy that was missing in my relationships. There was a support, a sensitivity, a two-way reciprocity, two-way street that was missing. And people in your family will probably get mad at you too. And a lot of this in my experience was because we had been so used to not talking about things, so not used to talking about our problems and talking about those uncomfortable truths that we all know about certain family members, or in your case it might be that you are the one who is acknowledging the neglect and the abandonment and the abuse, and other family members might not be ready or will never be ready to admit that that, oh yeah, we were neglected and abandoned and abused. But because you're going to therapy and you're doing the work, you're recognizing that what happened wasn't right and that it was abuse. And when you start to give those things a voice, it might upset so many people. Part of how they're able to just like cope and get through their day to day is by ignoring and acting as though, no, that wasn't wrong. Like, what happened to me? Like, whatever. It was our fault. It was my fault. Or like, that didn't happen. I think that this stuff is so important. I definitely do think that going to therapy, if you want to go, is important. And I also realize that it's not always this sunny, rosy path, and that sometimes we can even overstep when you are going to therapy. It's like taking a Psych 101 course and seeing all of these words, getting all of this new language of like how to describe certain perceptions of the world or certain things. Then you start diagnosing everybody. Oh, you're this, you're this, you're this. Oh, you have this, you have this. And it's like, whoa, therapy be hard enough. And I go willingly. Sometimes I'm like, okay, that's enough for today. Or I'm crying, I literally can't. But your family didn't willingly agree to having you, a person who is not trained, diagnose them and point out this and say, oh, that's this and this is this and that is that. And so it's like this fine line of sometimes we overstep and sometimes it's not that we overstepped, it's just that we're literally acknowledging something that is so painful and completely disrupts the flow and relationship, the way the family functions. And so as we're starting to grow, that can be like an isolating process, that can be an isolating experience too, as you're starting to grow and develop all of these new words and, you know, do the work on yourself and stuff. It can be isolating because a lot of the people around you won't be at that place at the same time where they are starting to unlearn and they are starting to recognize certain things. It's challenging. I just wanted to like speak about that because with like all of these conversations about mental wellness, you know, it's a lot of the rosy stuff, and I love the rosy stuff. It makes me feel great too, but it is not always rosy, and you might make a lot of people mad, and it's important to like distinguish between, okay, am I overstepping or am I pointing this out and I have a right to point this out, or I have a right to ask this question in an effective way. Being the one to address generational trauma sounds heroic, but it's isolating, it's not fun, and sometimes you're gonna get it wrong, sometimes you are gonna overstep and you do have to apologize properly, but sometimes it's literally you just saying, I noticed that this is how we handle problems, and I think that there can be a more effective way, or there is a more effective way, and the way that we handle problems as a family, it is actually doing a lot of damage. There are things that are being left unsaid. There's a lot of building resentment. There are a lot of unspoken expectations that are unfair that I didn't agree to be a part of. It's just always been there. And people are going to be mad at you. People are going to be really, really mad at you. And that is something that I wish that I had been told. And that's what I'm telling you. Because, like I said, you know, toxic positivity culture, it is just all around us. It's like, oh yeah, just, oh, cut off toxic people. Oh, toxic energy, light some sage, light some candles. And a lot of it is fluff. And a lot of it is not real, in my opinion. Or a lot of it is just incomplete, really. Not necessarily that it's not real, but it's incomplete. You're gonna be the bad guy sometimes. You're going to have to set boundaries and enforce them, because it's one thing to set a boundary, it's a whole other thing to like actually enforce it consistently. And something that I did in the beginning too was like set these enormous boundaries, because for so long I hadn't set any. So I would set these boundaries that were like a bit too unrealistic or like a bit too much. I'd be like, don't ever talk to me ever again. And it's like, this is your guardian and you are still legally in this person's house. Them not ever talking to you again, it's not gonna happen, you know? So I had to really learn about, you know, setting appropriate boundaries, or like boundaries that I set not because I'm angry, but because I am showing up for myself and I know what my needs are and I know what my limits are, and I know that, okay, well, I cannot handle this kind of scenario. So I'm gonna set these boundaries really to keep myself safe, not to hurt the other person, right? Because that's not effective boundary setting when you're doing something to like hurt someone else. What are boundaries anyway? You're going to be framed as the bad person. You're going to be framed as the instigator. You're going to be framed as the problem, the troublemaker, the one who's no longer comfortable going along with old scripts, the one who's always questioning things instead of just, why can't you just do this? Why are you questioning things all of a sudden? Why are you fighting me all of a sudden? Why are you standing up for yourself? Why are you standing up to me all of a sudden? You never have before. A lot of times I talk about therapy and say that I feel like prior to therapy, I was really cruising on autopilot. And that's kind of really how I felt over the majority of my life. And I would say over the last maybe like 3-4 years is really when I stopped like cruising on autopilot. I feel like when I really started to like really pay attention and really accept reality. Really, I feel like that really happened over the last 3-4 years. But even when I started my therapy journey in 2012, there was the beginnings of that. There was the beginnings of me starting to sort of like wake up and come off of autopilot and really pay attention. I hope that this video helped someone. I don't know. If it did, please let me know what you think of this video topic. It's a very like niche, unique one, I suppose. But yeah, if you made it this far, please leave me some hearts in the comment section below. If you would like to help me out in any way, my Cash App and my Venmo information is right down below in the description box. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Peace.